Tonight, no warning, no reason, just brutality. You wake up thinking it's just another day. Maybe you're headed to work, meeting friends, or celebrating your future. But in a split second, everything changes. A woman steps off the subway in New York, moments from clocking into her job, and she's stomped unconscious by a stranger. A bride-to-be laughs with friends at her Dallas bachelorette party. Hours later, she's in a hospital bed, her face unrecognizable. And one man in the San Francisco Bay Area walks out to his Tesla in the driveway to find it destroyed by someone he's never even met. Tonight, we're asking what happens when the violence feels like it's closing in and no one sees it coming. This isn't just a crime wave, it's a wake-up call. It's about shock, survival, and the invisible scars people carry long after the moment is over. Jason says he's now a victim of the global Tesla terrorist movement, and his family is in fear. Jason woke up to find his Cybertruck damaged, windshield busted, and tires slashed. Jason, thank you so much for joining us today. I cannot imagine what you thought when you walked out that front door and found what you did. What was the first thing that went through your mind?
I was shocked. I was just trying to process it all. I couldn't believe that they actually came to my house to do something like that.
Is it your belief that they followed you?
They must have. I live in a very private and dead-end cul-de-sac at the top of a hill. No through traffic comes through here. Somebody must have followed me back here to find out where my truck was.
And you believe this was not just simple vandalism, certainly not a random attack. What is your belief?
I believe this is part of the global Tesla protests that are going on right now. And it just happened to happen on the exact same day as the Tesla takedown global action protest. So I really believe this is part of all of the Tesla protests that are going on across the country.
Why did you buy a Tesla to begin with?
I love Teslas. I've had a Tesla since 2015. I love the electric vehicles, trying to save the environment, and all the cool features. It's just an amazing vehicle.
So this was an intentional act on your part. You didn't just walking down the street and that was the next dealership in front of you. This was an intentional act. You said it was motivated by environment. You like the electrical vehicle and you like the Tesla.
Absolutely. And when the Cybertruck was released, I thought that was the coolest truck I've ever seen in my life, and I had to have one.
Who do you think is behind this? I know that you think it's part of this global Tesla takedown, but who do you think that is? Who's behind this Tesla takedown from what you've been able to ascertain?
At this point, I'm not totally sure. We're following up on a lot of leads, and I'm just really doing a lot of soul searching, and they're investigating and trying to find out who exactly did this. We have a couple ideas, but at this time, nothing really solid.
What's your understanding about the group that is behind Tesla takedown? Is this motivated by trying to get back at Elon Musk? What's your understanding about the motives?
That's my understanding. If this is really not directed at their neighbors, but more so at Elon Musk and at Donald Trump and everything that's going on in the government. And that really has nothing to do with me. I'm just a regular guy here living in Marin County with my vehicles. And to target me is just not right. They're taking their frustrations out on the wrong people.
So how often have you had Elon Musk over for dinner?
Not yet.
And how often have you met him?
I haven't met Elon Musk.
Don't know him, haven't met him. Do you have an opinion on his political views or his value system or anything about him that caused you to buy a Tesla back in 2015, or did you like the car?
I just like the car. It had nothing to do with Elon Musk and supporting him or supporting his ideas or anything he was doing. I just liked the vehicle and bought it for that simple reason. It had nothing to do with anything political, any like for Elon Musk or anything like that. I just wanted the coolest vehicle that I thought I could buy at the time.
Yeah.
And it was a Tesla.
Then you put your deposit down on this vehicle before the election, and certainly before Elon Musk got involved in the government, in Doge, and supporting Trump, and any of that. You put a deposit down on this a long time ago.
Oh, absolutely. I believe it was the end of 2019 or early 2020. The day they first announced the vehicle was when I put down my $100 deposit. I actually took delivery of this vehicle a year ago in February, before the election, before Elon Musk had anything to do with Trump or was part of the government.
So you had nothing to do with any of this. This isn't a political statement on your part. The only thing that had anything to do with any kind of movement was you had a sense that this might be good for the environment. And it seems to me that the very people pushing this agenda are the very people that have been pushing the climate agenda. So you were birds of a feather.
Exactly. At a time when I purchased this vehicle, Tesla was the cool car to have. Everybody around here was buying Teslas. There was a government mandate from Gavin Newsom that all the cars in California were going to be switching to EVs. So I adapted the technology. I was ready to go. Everybody around me owns Teslas, and that was the vehicle to have at the time. Now that's changed.
But isn't this incredibly hypocritical? Climate change was like a religion. But all of a sudden now, it doesn't matter. They don't like what he's doing in the government, and maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong, but all of a sudden that trumps the, no pun intended, the climate change agenda. And at 4:20 a.m., you have somebody show up at your house. You know this because of your cameras, right?
Yes.
And this is them checking it out, right? Was the car not there then?
No, the car was there. They came and checked it out and then came back at about 5:40 a.m. And you can see them there with the rock and the tape. They taped over one of my cameras and put a note on my vehicle telling me it was unsafe to drive. And then they went around the vehicle, smashed the tires, and broke the windshield like you see in that video.
So that's kind of a contradiction in terms. We're going to slash your tires and break out your windshield. Oh, but here's the note. This may not be safe to drive.
Yes.
What the hell is that about?
I have no idea. They're so woke, they left me a note.
Wow. Contradiction, but it read replace all tires, unsafe to drive. So they break out your windshield, they throw a big rock through that, slash all your tires, and they appeared to have a walkie-talkie in the back pocket. Is that right?
Yes, that's what appears to be a walkie-talkie in the back pocket. They also used a piece of tape to cover one of my ring cams just before the attack.
Okay, but you had other cameras on the property, right?
Yes.
Do you
Yes,
think
I actually had a camera watching them cover the camera.
Yeah, I can see the antenna coming out. So they were communicating, or at least had the ability to communicate with somebody else.
Yes.
Okay.
And I believe they may have had the radios in order to not have their cell phones with them, because they do tracking sometimes when people have their cell phones with them. So I believe maybe that was part of the motivation for using the two-way radios.
Are there two people here? Because it seems there's a white mask and a black mask.
It does seem like that. There's a white mask and a black mask, and there's also the jacket color changes, but we're not quite sure if it's the same person or not at this time. But it does appear to be the same person, even though the mask has changed and the jacket has changed.
Do you think this is a female?
It's possible. A lot of people think that it could be a female based on the body mechanics.
So the end product of this is you have nothing to do in any way with Elon Musk, nothing to do with Trump, nothing to do with Doge. Your only connection is you wanted a clean environment, which seems to be a common thread, and they've acted in a way to put more money in Musk's pocket, because you can't just go to Windshields or us, you've got to go to Tesla. Everything that you've got to do to get this vehicle fixed is going to put more money in Musk's pocket.
Exactly. I just had to buy 4 new tires from them and a brand new windshield. And he made profit on that. So that's the only thing they did. And the insurance company had to pay for that. And we all have insurance. So that's going to affect all of our insurance, even the person that attacked us.
It boggles the mind, does it not?
It does. I'm just up here minding my own business, not involved in any of this political stuff or anything that's going on. And it reached me at my house. Had this happened if my car was just at the movie theater or at the grocery store or something, it wouldn't be quite the same. But to come and hit me at my house in what seems to be a coordinated planned attack, to come back multiple times, to leave that note covering my cameras, this is different than a simple vandalism.
Your body is a system, and when it's running right, you feel focused, energized, in flow. But sometimes we struggle to find that flow state. Why? Because there's too much static in our system, brain fog, fatigue, and inflammation. The Echo Flask clears the static by infusing your water with molecular hydrogen, a natural science-backed gas that helps your body think sharper, recover faster, and run smoother. This is more than hydration. It's better focus, more energy, faster recovery, less internal stress, and longer-term benefits that keep you sharp. When your water works harder, your whole system does too. Find your flow state with the Echo Flask hydrogen water bottle and get an unlimited supply of hydrogen water at home and on the go. Visit echowater.com/Phil and use code Phil for 10% off. That's echowater.com/Phil. Enter code Phil to save 10%. Jonathan Cho is an investigative journalist who says this is a coordinated domestic terror effort.
Oh my gosh, a Tesla Cybertruck is on fire.
Late Sunday evening, fire crews battled flames shooting out of several Cybertrucks in this Tesla storage lot.
Look at this.
At this point, the cause remains under investigation, and some people have even resorted to criminal activity to hurt Musk.
And one of the Tesla charging stations has been vandalized this morning. The thieves look like they tried to get in the door and light the generator on fire, and it's spray painted with burn Nazi cars.
Let's keep that stock going down.
This is all part of a grassroots movement called Tesla Takedown. Some are trying to sink the electric vehicle maker's stock price and ruin anything associated with a controversial CEO. Tesla owners have also reported incidents of harassment on the road just because of their vehicle's association with the world's richest man.
Jonathan, thank you for joining us, and thank you for investigating this. This is kind of mind-boggling, isn't it?
Yeah, Dr. Phil, this type of movement, the Tesla takedown movement, is all connected to the hands-off movement as well, and a lot of progressive groups and angry liberals, quite frankly. And they are funding all of this, and this is coordinated, it is well-planned, it is strategic, and it's extremely effective.
You've reported on at least 10 Tesla takedowns, and this is a much older crowd, right, than what you see in other protests and demonstrations. Why do you think that is?
Well, let me back up a little bit. I want to be very clear. You know, this is America finally really getting a glimpse of what far left activism is all about. You know, these aren't just social justice warriors coming out. These are the radical left progressives who believe in violence, who believe in anarchy, who are aligned with socialists, Marxists, communists. And they have an agenda, and that's to destabilize America. And we saw glimpses of this during the early days of BLM, then most recently with the pro-Hamas protests. And it's these same characters who are now fueling these Tesla takedown protests as well. And what's happened is that they've incited a mob-like mentality where you have retirees now, people in their 70s and 80s coming out to join the action. And that's why we're seeing a much older crowd this time around.
You say it's like they coming out of retirement, they have nothing better to do, but these people are not sophisticated in technology if they're that old, so they may not know how they can be tracked, how their cell phones can be tracked, how cameras are hanging off of every light post, off of every business that doesn't have anything to do with where they are. Are these people getting caught? Are they being identified?
Well, when it comes to the actual protests, I'm personally not seeing any incidents of major violence or fights on the streets, but it's really the rhetoric now that's concerning. It's the pressure on Tesla owners like Jason. They're being pressured now to sell their vehicles. It's the pressure on the stock. And it's the rhetoric that led to the attempted assassination of President Trump. And now the rhetoric that says take down a Tesla targeting Elon Musk. So while we're not actually seeing violence necessarily on the streets during the protests, we're now seeing it after the fact. And that's where the vandalism is happening, the arsons, the bombs going off. And again, if you look at a lot of the suspects so far in places like Seattle and Las Vegas, they're all associated with transgender ideology or the communist movement.
That's very disturbing because it seems to me like we've now got, you use the word destabilize America. And I don't think that's what the typical Democrat is wanting, but it seems like that there is this far left faction that clearly wants to create divisiveness and create destabilization. And it seems like they've picked a really tough target here to take on the wealthiest person on planet Earth. It seems like they're going to have to go a long, long way to really bring this person to their knees and get them to do what? I mean, what is it they're wanting to accomplish other than destabilization? What are they hoping to accomplish as far as Musk is concerned?
Well, they're very open about this. A group like Troublemakers, which started as an environmental activist group led by Valerie Costa here in Seattle, they've said openly their goal is to take down Elon Musk's companies, to sink the stock price. They know they can't touch him while he's at Doge, but they want to go after all of his companies and hurt him in the pocketbook. So he quits. So he leaves the government and he stops slashing at this point what I believe are wasted taxpayer dollars on unnecessary programs. At the same time, what we're also seeing now is that you have groups like this, these progressive groups, and I want to make that distinction very clear. They're not just going after Republicans and conservatives. They're also going after mainstream Democrats and the moderates. I mean, a group like Indivisible recently went after Chuck Schumer because he voted to keep the country open, aligned with Republicans.
Hey, Dr. Phil here. Your savings are at risk. With the economy on shaky ground, the dollar losing value, and a $2 trillion deficit, things could spiral. Don't wait for the worst. Take control of your financial future now. I trust Preserve Gold to safeguard my accounts, and I urge you to do the same. They're the only precious metals company I recommend. What are you going to do to protect what's yours? Claim your special offer and learn how to reinforce your financial future. Visit drphilgold.com to get your free precious metals guide from Preserve Gold. With gold prices recently breaking records and analysts predicting this trend to continue through 2025, you cannot afford to wait. As a bonus, you can get up to $15,000 with a qualified purchase from Preserve Gold. So don't wait. Visit drphilgold.com today. Well, today is a wake-up call about what's happening on the streets in America. And my next guest, Canada, knows this issue all too well. She traveled to Dallas for her bachelorette weekend in March. But the trip of a lifetime turned into a nightmare when a stranger brutally beat her in a totally unprovoked attack. Canada joins us with her sister, Tina, who witnessed the assault. Thank you both for being here. Canada, I'm, first off, so sorry that this happened to you. It's just absurd, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry that it happened to you. I'm sorry that it happened to you in my hometown of Dallas. And you were just simply walking to where your driver was to pick you up, and you stepped around to check the license plate to be sure you were getting in the right car, correct?
Yes.
All right. And what happened at that point?
So as we're walking up to our Uber driver, we're walking to the back, and he came up. He was sitting on the curb, and he came up behind me, and he punched me, and it immediately knocked me out. So I hit the ground, and I was unconscious after that.
And you never saw him coming, right?
Right. I never saw him. I didn't even know what happened when I finally woke up.
And Tina, did you see this happening before it happened, or not until she was face down on the ground?
Not until she was face down on the ground and I saw the man jumping up and down and before he ran away. Yeah.
And you feared that she was actually dead at that point, right?
Yeah. There was so much blood and not seeing what happened. She looked so lifeless. I had no idea what had just happened. It was terrifying.
You thought maybe she had been stabbed or what?
Yeah. There was so much blood.
Canada, you're blonde, and Tina, you said there was so much blood that she looked like a redhead.
Mm-hmm. Yes. A complete redhead.
And you saw the man 10 feet away doing victory leaps like he had accomplished some big feat, right?
Yes, it was shocking. And that's another reason I had no idea what was going on. He seemed like he had accomplished something he'd set out to do. And I know we had no contact with him whatsoever. I was so confused.
And what was he yelling?
He said, that's what you get.
That's what you get for what?
That's the $1 million question.
And Canada, you had no idea what was happening. All night long, you guys had stayed to yourselves, right? You were a close-knit group.
Right. Yeah. It was just, there were 7 of us in the group. We all stayed together the whole time. We didn't talk to anybody else. And we had just decided to be done for the night. And that's why we were leaving. We never saw him, never talked to him. I have no idea who he was.
And what have you learned about, I guess we have to call him a suspect at this point? Has he been convicted yet?
No, he hasn't been convicted. He's just been arrested.
And what do we know about the suspect at this point?
So I know, well, from family members of his have told me that he's schizophrenic. He has prior convictions for assault. He's been homeless. That's really all we know about him.
And he was arrested 5 days after the attack, is that right?
I believe so, yeah. Because he was identified just a couple days after and then arrested a few days after he was identified.
And did he have a prison record?
I think so, yes. He had been arrested multiple times. I don't know how long he served or anything like that, but I heard that he was on parole at the time.
Our research says that he was on parole. He had been in prison, was on parole. Their charges were assaulting a police officer and trying to gouge his eyes out, misdemeanor assault and burglary. So he was put back on the street with a history of violence. And, you know, I've always said the best predictor of future behavior is relevant past behavior. And so here we have someone with prior arrest for violence, for assault, against an armed authority figure trying to gouge their eyes out. So clearly there's an impulse control problem here. If he's going to attack an armed police officer and try and gouge their eyes out, he's certainly not going to see any stop signals for a young woman on the street if he has an impulse to attack, but yet he's put back out on the street. What do you say to yourself about that?
He shouldn't have been on the street. I think something was wrong. This shouldn't have ever happened. He shouldn't have just been released to be on the street. I think he should have been monitored to where he was. I thought when people are on parole, they had to report to somebody about their whereabouts. It just shouldn't have happened this way.
The next time you gather with family, enjoy Balance of Nature supplements as an addition to your favorite dishes. Our veggie supplement, made from 15 ingredients like garlic, onion, and cayenne pepper, can easily be opened and added to your favorite dishes like homemade soups or dips. Not to mention our fruits supplement, which is made from 16 ingredients like banana, strawberries, and mango, making it a great addition to your homemade smoothies. Start your journey with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get a free fiber and spice supplement, plus 35% off your first preferred set as a new preferred customer with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code Dr. Phil. That's DRPHIL. Well, I'm talking with Jason, who was victimized with violence against property, and Canada, who was victimized with violence against her body. Canada was walking to her Uber after a bachelorette celebration when she was suddenly knocked out cold, left with black eyes, broken nose, cracked teeth, just a month before her wedding. Her older sister, Tina, held her in the streets after the suspect, an ex-con, just ran off. Now, he has since been arrested and is facing charges. And look, I deal with mental illness, and I understand that the system oftentimes is not equipped for and doesn't handle these people well. But turning them onto an unsuspecting public when they have a history of violence is certainly not the answer. That doesn't help them, and it doesn't help the unsuspecting public. After posting video of the attack, Canada got inundated with criticism. Tina, what did people say to you online? What did they call you guys?
Everything from prostitutes to whores, everything. Just basically saying that it was our fault for being there, for having fun.
That we shouldn't have gone there. We had to have been acting entitled or everything, yeah.
And there was an account on X with 3 million followers that accused you of race baiting. When you get hit from behind, how is it race baiting when you don't know who hits you? When you get blindsided, how is that race baiting?
And that's what a lot of people say. They're saying it's based on race and that I'm leaving out a part that but I'm racist apparently.
That she had to have said some slur. There were people commenting saying that there were witness accounts of us talking to the man and having a interaction. And there were also other comments saying that there was video evidence of us attacking him first. And then on top of the people who didn't read the article and just saw the short clip of him swinging at Kelly, the other bridesmaid, and they assumed that was Canada and were saying things like, well, there's video of you attacking him first right there. So
none of that's true.
No.
And you see, and I hope you guys understand how absurd and ridiculous that is, and don't give your power away. I mean, we're talking here, Jason is attacked by people that he probably has more in common with than differences with, people that are left liberals that embrace climate change, and he's got an electric vehicle, but yet agendas change, so now he becomes the enemy. You guys they decide to put you into a narrative that has nothing to do with what's going on, but you become pawns in a narrative. I mean, Jason, that's exactly what happened to you, right? You just became a pawn in a narrative.
That's exactly it. I was here minding my own business, and I've been dragged into this, something that I wanted nothing to do with, nothing that I brought on myself at all. Just living my life here.